Bethesda releases big Starfield January 10, 1930 beta update. Bethesda has released what appears to be the biggest beta update yet for the Starfield game, bringing new features and an extensive list of bug fixes for quests, graphics, gameplay, and more. The new beta update, which is now available in Steam Beta, and should roll out as an official update at a later date, brings several new features, including a whole new photo mode, scanner, FOV adjustments when using third-person ship view, an isotropic filtering quality slider, new autosave, updated ship UI, and more. The most important fixes, graphics-wise, include fixes for NVIDIA DLSS and AMD FSR, various flickering issues, various shadow quality and other performance improvements, as well as some gameplay and quest fixes that were previously noticed in the game. Here are the full release notes. Features. Photo mode, added the ability to set expressions and poses on player and companions in photo mode. Scanner, you can now open doors and harvest with the scanner opened. Setting course on an inactive quest will now make it the active quest. Added support for adjusting FOV when using third-person ship view. Added an anisotropic filtering quality slider, PC. Removed the digipic cost for using undo during the security minigame. Added an autosave when fast traveling from a planet's surface to orbit. Updated the ship UI to perform more smoothly at higher frame rates. Fixes. ART. Fixed an area that allowed the player access to the New Atlantis ship technician's vendor chest. Fixed the gap that allows players to access spacesuits without picking locks of one of the spacesuit display cases. Fixed an issue that could cause the fishworker mask to not be visible when equipped. Fixed a spot where the player could get out of the world on the Siren of the Stars. Fixed a rare issue that could cause the player to remain stuck under an elevator. Fixed a spot where the player could become stuck outside Hypoduk. Fixed flickering floors in the aquarium of a research station on Altair 2. Fixed the text on a sign from being cut off on the key. Corrected a sign found on the key. Adjusted the position of a floating speaker at the NASA launch facility. Fixed badly placed objects in the Paradiso Hotel. Fixed the spot players can get stuck in the lair of the Mantis. Fixed a spot players can get stuck on top of a bookcase in Marco's room. Fixed a generator intersecting a railing on New Homestead. Fixed disappearing objects on Star Station RE939. Fixed balloons that were stuck inside each other on the Siren of the Stars. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck on a staircase in New Homestead. Fixed flickering textures in the Vanguard test chamber. Adjusted the position of some office objects on a desk in the abandoned hangar. Fixed a spot where players could go through the wall in New Homestead. Fixed a chair placement inside of Hypoduk. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck in Infinity Limited. Fixed a chair stuck in the wall on the roof of Sunny DeFalco's island. Fixed a spot where players could fall out of the world in the autonomous Street. Settled some floating items in the Argos office of New Atlantis. Fixed some decal placements in an abandoned hangar. Fixed a spot where players could see outside the world in Red Devil headquarters. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck in Londinium. Fixed a stool that couldn't be sat on in the Red Mile. Fixed a spot where players could get out of the world in the Red Devil mines. Fixed flickering mats in Neon. Rotated a monitor to face the intended direction in the Deimos Street. Fixed placement of some items in the autonomous Dogstar factory on Vega 2D. Fixed a sign placement on Tau Gourmet. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck near the Bayou Plaza of Neon. Fixed a spot where player could get stuck underneath metal girders in Neon. Rotated an electrical panel in a star station. Fixed disappearing decals on the wall in research at post U309. Fixed a chair placement that caused an intersection with a computer in a mining complex. Fixed missing walls of the Xericus. Fixed floating whiteboard text inside Nishina Research Facility. Fixed a disappearing paper on the wall of the Star Station RE939. Fixed a gap on the tarmac of Sidonia. Fixed a spot where players could fall out of the world behind chunks in New Atlantis. Fixed storage bins intersecting at the lair of the Mantis. Fixed fire extinguishers stuck inside the wall of the Siren of the Stars. Fixed flickering textures found on Mars Mech Factory. Adjusted position of objects on shelves found in Gagarin. Adjusted position of objects in the Akala City Barracks. Settled a floating vent panel in the Infinity Limited HQ. Adjusted position of objects on the Fortuna spaceship. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck on the Scowl. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck in the vault of the Siren of the Stars. Fixed a flickering sign found in Gagarin. Fixed a disappearing note on a whiteboard found in a fracking station on Procyon VB. Fixed a disappearing painting found in the lodge. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck in the Bindy mining outpost. Adjusted the position of shelves in the Emporium of Neon. Fixed a flickering wall panel in the Diamos yard. Fixed weapons placed incorrectly on a display case found in a civilian outpost. Fixed object placement on shelves in Akala's Stone Route Inn. Fixed decal issues on whiteboards placed in the Warlock ship. Fixed shelves and objects placement in the Corvus. Fixed items stuck inside shelves in Gagarin. Fixed flickering textures found in New Homestead. Fixed a texture on the tarmac of the Wagoner farm. Fixed a spot where players could get outside the world at the Bindy mining outpost. Adjusted physics on objects found near Alex Shadid's desk in Akala City. Replaced a missing wall in Gagarin. Fixed physics on some objects placed in New Homestead. Fixed a spot where players could fall out of the world in a science outpost location. Fixed an object stuck inside a shelf in Mast. Fixed flickering posters found in the Vigilance. Fixed item physics in cabinets found in Hippoduk. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck in the lock. Fixed a gap underneath the airlock door of a science outpost on Magnor. Fixed physics on the skull in the Co-Heritage Museum. Fixed a decal texture on a table in the lock. Fixed a spot where players could see out of the world in the lock. Fixed physics on objects placed in the Emporium. Fixed cabinets intersecting on Gagarin. Fixed physics on the cabinets found at one of the United Colony's garrison locations. Fixed a gap in the ceiling of the lock. Fixed collision on the roof of the Pioneer Tower. Fixed flickering windows at Tarabaru in New Atlantis. Fixed collision on the floor in a warehouse of Neon. Fixed flickering posters in the military wing of Mast. Smoothed out the collision near Madame Sauvage in Neon. Fixed a spot in the Mercury Tower where players could fall outside the world. Fixed disappearing decals outside the Astral Lounge. Fixed disappearing vent frames in Neon. Fixed a fan position near the Xenofresh sign in Neon. Fixed a shelf intersecting the wall near the UC distribution. Fixed a spot where players could get out of the world near the door of the Veyron embassy. Settled a floating rope near the Neon landing pad. Fixed the collision on a wall in the Region Industries headquarters. Fixed spots where players could see outside the world near the pool of the commercial district. Fixed spots where players could see outside the world on the roofs of the residential district in New Atlantis. Fixed a spot where players could see outside the world under the Mast Bridge in New Atlantis. Rotated a monitor in the Stroud Eklund showroom. Fixed a spot where players could fall out of the world near the Fishmonger in Neon. Fixed a gap in the sidewalk and grass in New Atlantis. Fixed multiple spots where players could see outside of the world on the roof of the Pioneer Tower. Fixed a missing wall near the Pioneer Tower. Fixed an issue where characters would suddenly disappear in the Neon elevator. Fixed several spots where players could see out of the world in Neon. Fixed the flickering computer monitors found in Apex Electronics. Fixed a spot where players could see out of the world near the Pioneer Tower in New Atlantis. Fixed the netting from disappearing inside Neon at certain viewing angles. Fixed flickering crates in Sidonia's mine. Fixed flickering textures in the corner of Bayou's penthouse bedroom. Fixed gaps in the wall inside Galbank of New Atlantis. Fixed a spot where players could see out of the world in the Trade Authority. Fixed an area that a player could get out of the world in the Generdyne Industries. Corrected a missing wall inside the Mercury Tower lobby. Fixed a backwards polygon floating outside a warehouse in Neon. Dropped a floating tree outside the entrance to the lair of the Mantis. Made it so a mineral resource can be properly harvested near Gagarin. Settled a floating tree found near remote industrial site locations. Settled a floating rock arch near industrial mines. Settled a floating tree to the ground at an abandoned farm location. Fixed a spot where the player could get out of the world in a cave on Procyon I. Improved lot for juniper trees. Improved lot for fringe trees. Improved lot for swamp pods. Improved lot for hickory trees. Fixed a spot where the player could get outside of the world in a cave on Altair 2. Fixed a floating tree near the lair of the Mantis. Fixed an area that caused the player to see out of the world in the mining complex. Fixed flickering bushes seen during Samco's Matter of the Heart quest scenes. Settled a floating resource stone near Akala City. Settled a floating stone near Gagarin's landing pad. Fixed an area that caused the player to fall out of the world near Gagarin. Fixed floating fungus found on Procyon. Settled floating stone arches near Gagarin. Fixed a texture blend around one of the wetland biomes. Fixed textures on the leaves of the sapling trees. Settled a floating rock near the landing site on Element 2A. Addressed texturing issues on various cave sections. Fixed a few areas that caused the player to fall out of the world. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck outside a mining complex. Dropped a floating tree to the ground near Gagarin. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck outside Sidonia. Settled floating rocks to the ground around Drone's camp. Fixed a spot in New Atlantis spaceport where players could get stuck. Fixed gaps in the caves that allowed visibility outside the playable space in underground caves. Fixed texture issue on the landing pad of the Renshaw research facility. Settled a floating tree to the ground around the Dauntless crash site. Fixed a flicker on the quarantine isolator. Addressed flickering textures on the faucets in the lock. Adjusted Briggs pose when holding a weapon, the showdown. Adjusted assets for the Living Outside Earth airlock display, Revelation Quest, NASA. Fixed an issue that could cause the player to remain stuck when traversing the collapsed C-block hall near the armory in the lock. Fixed an issue that could cause the player to become stuck between rocks near New Atlantis on Jemison. Fixed an issue that could cause the player to become stuck inside the stairs that lead down to the Red Mile. Fixed blast shield occasionally disappearing from landing pad near Nishina Research Station. Fixed an issue that could cause the player to become stuck after falling down a tube in an industrial outpost. Fixed a few landing areas, like Valerie's cache, that were too small for some ships. Gameplay. Fixed an issue with ship power allocations decreasing unintentionally due to crew member bonuses. Crew bonuses for ship weapon recharge times should now be applied as intended while in targeting mode. Fixed an issue that could turn the player's head to the left when sprinting in third person. Addressed an issue that could cause artifacts to become inaccessible if the player left their location for a long time without retrieving them. Fixed an issue that could cause the player housing decoration to be lost when there is a state change in New Atlantis. Resolved an issue where Sarah could appear non-interactable if she was assigned to a ship or outpost during a conversation with Walter in the lodge. Resolved an issue where the player could be affected by weather while inside. Fixed an issue that could prevent the player from getting 100% completion for Nyera's planet survey. Fixed an issue on Heinlein VA's moon, which could cause chlorine gas vent deposits to be extremely rare. Fixed an issue that could cause weather to occur on planets with no atmosphere. Addressed an issue where damage wasn't being applied as intended to robot enemies. Resolved a rare issue where robots might not power down after using the Disable Robot Workforce option in a terminal. Minibots should no longer appear to influence the stealth meter. Boarding encounters should now have a better difficulty distribution. Fixed an issue that prevented commandeering a smuggler-free Star Rambler after killing all of its crew. Alien reanimation now works on aquatic and flying creatures. Resolved an issue that could sometimes prevent the player from turning invisible when using void form in first person. Resolved a time scaling issue that could occur if phased time was used before waiting, resting. Parallel self-clones should now have the ability to follow the player through low doors. Sunless space should now be able to deal critical damage. Fixed an issue that could cause allied ships to become hostile when using anti-grav field inside your ship. Addressed an issue where using a power on a Terramorph in the Red Devil HQ could potentially free it. Resolved an issue with alien reanimation which caused it to last longer than intended when used by another character. Fixed an issue with the scavenging skill challenge not incrementing when weapon cases were looted. Resolved an issue that could cause missile weapon systems rank 4 to not recharge as intended. Fixed an issue with rejuvenation FX remaining active. Fixed an issue where the M weapon system's skill challenge wasn't tracking M damage as intended. Fixed an issue where starborn ship weapons were not being improved by ship skills. Fixed an issue with using the boost pack in 0G environments counting towards weightlifting skill challenge. Fixed an issue where the wellness skill do not apply actively when leveling up. Fixed a rare issue where an earth strikes could count a crowd character as a stun enemy. Fixed an issue with an earth strikes challenge progress causing it to be more difficult than intended after the first rank. Fixed a rank 4 concealment issue that briefly made the player undetectable. Contraband is now removed when rejecting a previously accepted smuggling mission. Addressed an issue that allowed attacking the assigned home ship to progress as ship weapon systems skills. Fixed an issue where mom and dad could participate in different conversations with each other at the same time. Fixed an issue that could allow unusable ammo to be placed in the world. Fixed an issue where the boost pack could be incorrectly hidden when using boost pack skills. Fixed an issue with damage scaling for critical damage after going through the Unity. Fixed an issue that could cause the co-estate to be inaccessible for SOM's commitment after going through the Unity. Water and wetlands biomes should now correctly spawn creatures for scanning. Fixed an issue that could occasionally cause swimming creatures to fly above water or appear on land. Fixed an issue where flying creatures could sometimes appear to fall slowly after being killed. Addressed an issue where occasionally a character could clip through the ground when knocked down. Fixed an issue that could cause unstable ragdolls on some mercenaries. Resolved an issue that could cause a technician's body to turn invisible if a manipulated character was instructed to inspect the corpse. Fixed a rare issue that could cause a character to spin when exiting a seated position. Fixed an issue that could cause dead characters on the Red Mile to be standing upright. Characters should no longer share the same chair at the same time in the rock. Fixed issue that could cause characters to shift out of the world after entering certain poses. Fixed various character head tracking issue that could make some scenes look inconsistent. Reduce the frequency of stun attacks from the Elder Terramorph during hostile intelligence. Fixed an issue that could cause Terramorphs to not properly ambush during some encounters. Turrets in the Mantis layer should no longer be invisible after leaving and returning after a long period of time. Boarding encounter objectives should now be cleared when fast traveling off the boarded ship via the star map. Resolved an issue that could cause crosshairs to turn red during combat when not pointing at an enemy character. Fixed Kodama weapon recoil inconsistency between first and third person. Resolved an issue where releasing aim while turning in third person could automatically cause aiming to begin again. Aiming through a scoped weapon while attempting to enter dialogue should no longer cause the weapon to become invisible. Fixed an issue that could sometimes cause initial melee attacks to fail after immediately drawing the weapon. Resolved an issue where the player could lose a large amount of oxygen when using a power attack and blocking. Resolved an issue with scopes appearing too low if used in third person directly after landing on a new planet. The Rattler should now use the correct reload animation in 0G environments. Resolved an issue with the Frenzy special effect on the Keylawler affecting allies. Fixed an issue that could cause the Aught Rivet to fire in a wider cone when a laser sight was added. Fixed an issue where the drumbeat burst fire attachment causing it to fire 3 shots instead of 4. Special weapon effects with a damage increase should now function with M weapons. Fixed an issue with anti-ballistic that caused it to not reduce physical damage taken from particle beam weapons. Fixed an issue where M weapons dealt health damage instead when used by a companion. Added special effects to the old Earth armor set reward. Addressed an issue that could soft lock the player if they interacted with a stun mine in a specific way. Fixed an issue where the player could avoid criminal repercussions by stowing their weapon at a very specific time. Addressed an issue where companions would not be dressed correctly if a stolen outfit was removed due to an arrest. Quest-specific companions, such as Emma Wilcox or Walter Stroud, are now prevented from taking weapons from locked chests when they are out of ammo. Fixed crash that could occur when the player holds a corpse in front of a miner. Characters should no longer reaction to older bodies as if they were new corpses. Fixed an issue where Samko could still tell Cora she could try out her joke on a dead character. Tough crowd. Fixed an issue where the player could talk about adoring fans' fandom even though he had never joined the crew. Addressed an issue that could cause the camera to appear detached when immediately boost packing after entering a temple. Resolved an issue where using a boost pack while entering 0G could disable boosting. Ammo packs near Sergeant Yumi during Eyewitness should now provide more ammo. Docking at a station with a stolen ship should now set it as your home ship. Added reward for completing the injured guard activity at the Trade Authority warehouse. Added loot to a weapon rack hidden behind a master lock door at the ship disassembly platform. Fixed an issue where a skill magazine could not be acquired in the abandoned farm. Fixed an issue that could cause Havershaw to be tucked away from his desired position in Stroudekland's yard. Removed an invisible collision that partially blocked movement through the plastic flaps at the entrance of the clinic. Fixed an issue where sometimes a supply shelf would not appear correctly in the Freestar Ranger station in Hopetown. Fixed a texture issue that could occur when the tables in Jake's bar were shot. VFX and SFX will now occur when player discovers a scanner anomaly even while not directly facing it. Fixed an issue with all guards on the scow sharing a similar appearance. Resolved an issue that could cause a quest for a legendary ship to not appear during a space encounter. Fixed an issue where helping a settler by using the medicine skill in dialogue would incorrectly consume a medpack. Adjusted ownership of Maurice Lyon's journal so it can be taken without stealing a new homestead. Fixed an issue with the ramp of the razor leaf that could cause characters' pathing difficulty. Fixed an issue could cause enemies in combat to slide between cover spots. Fixed an issue that could cause Vasco to appear incorrectly in the player's ship. Fixed an issue that could stall character patrols if they spoke immediately before reaching an idle location. Followers should no longer continue their conversations if the player exits a ship while they are speaking. Fixed a rare issue that could cause homesteaders to attack without provocation. Improved crowd fleeing behavior. Fixed an issue that could cause enemies to spawn on the roof areas of ships. Fixed an issue that could cause a character using a melee attack to get stuck in a floating state. Fixed an issue where Vasco may not path back to the ship through Sidonia when dismissed. Fixed an issue that could leave followers in 0G animations if the ship is exited when gravity is being disabled. Fixed an issue with companions jumping that could cause them to become stuck in a floating state. Addressed an issue that allowed players to get into a state where they could wait while standing up. Addressed an issue that could sometimes cause allied ships to not retaliate when being attacked by the player. Fixed the player sometimes being stuck with a pending grab jump. Fixed an issue that could cause spaceships to land slightly above the ground on various planets. Addressed an issue that could temporarily alter the view of the ship in third person after the FOV in photo mode was used. Ship weapons should now target the nearest module on an enemy ship instead of the center of mass. Fixed an issue that could sometimes prevent the player from gaining repair parts after helping an allied ship during a space encounter. Addressed an issue that could cause Heller to briefly flicker during the boring machine countdown. Fixed an issue that could sometimes cause characters to double blink during dialogue. Improved an issue that could appear as an odd emotion transition on faces during dialogues. Fixed an issue where characters could reopen their eyes after being killed. Fixed an issue that could cause a character to say a generic greeting instead of a custom greeting. Various fixes for planetary bodies with erroneous orbits. Various stability improvements. Graphics. Improved lighting on particles at night when using the flashlight, PC Medium, High, Ultra and Xbox Series X. Fixed rare depth of field visual issues. Fixed an issue that could cause the sun's lens flare to disappear when partially occluded by an object. Fixed an issue causing the sun's lens flare to have the wrong size when modifying the FOV. Fixed an issue that could occasionally display the sun's lens flare through opaque objects around the edge of the screen. Fixed a rare issue that could cause shadows or lighting to flicker during sunset and dawn. Fixed an issue in Neon Spaceport that could cause the atmosphere to be overly bright. Fixed occasionally flickering bloom effect that could occur when the sun started appearing behind a planet in space. Fixed occasional screen flickering that could occur when using medium graphics preset with sync disabled, PC. Fixed an issue that could cause the player view to have a momentary blur after waiting on a chair. Fixed an issue that could display black squares around a planet when other planets' rings were visible in the background of the star map. Fixed an issue that could occasionally make lightning bolts appear to have missing sections. Fixed occasionally missing lightning effect when the player was inside the ship during a storm. Improved the look of beards and mustaches in the distance. Fixed rare pixelated shadows that could occur on character outfits under certain exterior lighting conditions. Fixed an issue with shadows occasionally appearing inconsistently on asteroids in space. Fixed rare issue that could occasionally display outline on objects when seen through smoke. Fixed rare issue that could lead to displaying wrong colors on smoke effects in Varuan Embassy. Fixed fog abruptly appearing and disappearing in the Deluxe shuttle bay during echoes of the past. Fixed popping smoke emitted from the crashed ship the player approaches during Back to Vectra. Fixed white flickering dots that could occasionally appear on wet surfaces. Fixed an issue that could occasionally make glass objects flicker in the distance. Fixed rare flickering on characters when DLSS was enabled, PC. Fixed flickering lines on the floor when seen through glass in region, Xbox Series S. Fixed rare cases of flickering with FSR2, PC. Fixed subtle flickering that could occasionally occur on the Equinox. Fixed occasional flickering on the MagPulse. Fixed flickering on the Navigator Pack. Fixed an issue where the player's hair could occasionally clip through the chunk's cap in third person. Fixed an issue where character's hair could have holes when wearing a cap. Fixed an issue where the player's facial hair partially disappears when wearing the fishworker mask while the helmet is hidden. Fixed an issue that could cause a parent planet's axis to instantly shift at a certain time of day when seen from the surface of its moon. Addressed an issue with electrical shock VFX that could happen at Argos extractors. Fixed an issue that could appear with ship trails emitted from damaged ship engines at high speed. Fixed missing VFX on canisters that could occur with certain weapons in the Akala City prison. Fixed an issue causing exploding tanks to occasionally miss an explosion VFX outside the creature search lab. Various texture adjustments to fix occasional mar, flickering and Z-fighting issues. Various decals and geometry fixes. Various shadow quality improvements and bug fixes. Various minor performance improvements outposts. Resolved an issue that could make a workbench appear to be obstructed. Fixed an issue with outposts where the player could see an infinite loading spinner while using the fly camera. Resolved an issue with displaying survey data on data slate display stands in outposts. Fixed an issue that could cause items placed on mannequins to be displayed incorrectly. Fixed an issue that could cause objects placed near a connected hallway to disappear if the containing hub module was moved. Tweaked the snap distance for storage containers. Improved visible line for moving around objects for link. Fixed objects stacked onto auto foundations not moving correctly if the foundation is moved. Resolved an issue where building near a landing zone was prevented if the beacon is placed outside of it. Resolved an issue with moving a power management robot at an outpost after it was built. fixed an issue that could cause a wall to disappear when an industrial wall light is placed and then deleted. Fixed an issue that could cause generators to not increase power production after building the power management robot. Quests. Note, there may be spoilers within. Proceed with caution. A Break at Dawn, fixed an issue that could get the objective stuck on Find Hugo Fournier at Athena Tower if persuasion failed and all dialogue options were exhausted with Hugo. Absolute Power, fixed an issue where the companion would not go inside the ventilation shaft with the player in Generdyne Industries. All That Money Can Buy, fixed an issue that could prevent this from starting if all of Virgin Industries' questline was previously completed. All That Money Can Buy, fixed an issue that could cause the ship and its technician to disappear after getting the ship back from impound. Back to the Grind, resolved an issue where trying to sit during the Take a Seat objective sometimes caused a control lock. Back to Vectra, addressed an issue where the player could later become control locked on the ramp if they missed Lynn's initial greeting and assigned her inside the ship. Back to the Grind, if the Terrabrew employee is killed while the player is in combat with Demo, the quest will now properly handle the quest target. Back to Vectra, fixed an issue where the player could be unable to speak to Lynn and Heller and be prevented from recruiting them as crew. Background checks, resolved an issue leaving the area of Olaru's computer could cause a confusing quest marker. Bare Metal, fixed an issue at Neon Tactical where Styx still had graffiti despite the player having a dialogue option indicating otherwise. Bare Metal, fixed dialogue inconsistencies with Frank when talking about Styx. Bone Dry, fixed an issue where hailing the stranded ship after finishing the initial dialogue could restart the dialogue from the beginning. Breach of Contract, fixed an issue where Ellie Yankton would not talk to the player if they sat in Baird's chair. Breach of Contract, fixed various dialogue and camera inconsistencies that could occur if the player talked to Ellie before Baird could enter the room. Breach of Contract, fixed an issue where canceling the dialogue with Kilo could cause the objective to update earlier than intended. Breach of Contract, fixed an issue that could cause various issues with the objectives when hacking the security terminal before talking to the community members to find Helgi. Breach of Contract, fixed a rare issue where Baird's quest did not appear in the quest tracker. Breach of Contract, addressed an issue with the camera panning to Baird during his dialogue. Castillo's Revenge, fixed an issue where cancelling out of dialogue did not make Mathis hostile to the player. Commitment with Barrett, fixed an issue that could cause Ellie Yankton to remain in her apartment after agreeing to have her officiate the ceremony. Deep Cover, addressed a possible control lock when boarding Vigilance after loading a previous save where the player is an enemy of Ux's death. Delivering Devils, addressed an issue with an objective not disappearing when speaking to Cambridge after already paying the debt. Delivering Devils, fixed an issue that could prevent companions from following the player to Percival at the end of the mine. Divided Loyalties, fixed an issue that could cause Zealot ships to not appear during the encounter with Jita Huang. Echoes of the Past, resolved an issue where failing to pickpocket a rook inside the lock could cause Delgado to become inaccessible. Entangled, fixed an issue that could rarely cause a control lock when Raphael greets the player. Eye of the Storm, addressed a rare issue that could prevent docking with the Legacy. Eye of the Storm, fixed a location where the player could get stuck on a section of wires while escaping from the Vigilance. Eyewitness, fixed an issue that could cause members of the fire team to run out of ammo. Eyewitness, addressed an issue that could cause some confusion with incapacitating the thralls. Eyewitness, added a message to address possible confusion about why the lodge is inaccessible. Eyewitness, resolved a possible progression issue related how thralls were incapacitated by the player. Eyewitness, addressed a rare issue that could prevent Yumi from being present at the quest target location. Final Thoughts, addressed an issue that allowed the player to drop the For Clarements in New Atlantis stat slate. Find the Missing, mission objective should now complete when the targeted quest character is found and healed. Friends Like These, fixed a turret in the Veyron embassy that was always hostile and could not be turned off or turned friendly. Friends Like These, the door inside the Veyron embassy will now be correctly opened if the player left the embassy and returned later. Friends Like These, The door inside the Freestar Embassy will now be correctly opened if the player left the embassy and returned later. Fueling greatness, purchasing any velocity color from Madame Sauvage should now update the objective. Grunt work, addressed an issue that could prevent Hadrian from moving to the microscope if she was downed before the sample was collected. Grunt work, fixed an issue that could cause the Terramorph to idle instead of stalking the player. Grunt work, fixed an issue where the objective would repeat to restore power to kill lanes. Grunt work, removed an empty dialogue response that could occur after the player knows about Tau Ceti 2. Guilty parties, fixed an issue that could occur with getting into the hideout if the player didn't talk to Dalton. Hard luck, Clover McKenna will be downed instead of killed before the quest is completed. Hostile intelligence, resolved an issue where Hadrian may not follow the player out of the steam tunnels. Hostile intelligence, fixed an issue that could cause Element 2 guard ships to repeat the scene after the player had already checked in with Hotm. In Memoriam, resolved a rare issue with dialogue near the waterfall that could prevent romance with Sarah Morgan. In Memoriam, addressed an issue that could prevent progression if the player left Sarah while she was at the Colony War Memorial. Incoming Storm, fixed an issue that would grant the player double the intended reward. Juno's Gambit, added a marker back to Juno if the player chooses to leave before completing the quest. Keeping the Peace, fixed an issue where attempting to speak to Yumi while Eyewitness was active wouldn't work as intended. Leader of the Pack, resolved an issue that could occur if Davis died just before the Alpha Ashta. Legacy's End, Crimson Fleet bounty is now removed if the player sides with Ux's death since the Crimson Fleet will always be hostile. Legacy's End, the security door inside the key will now be opened if the player left the station and returned later. Legacy's End, fixed dialogue inconsistencies with Commander Eichand and Lieutenant Toft. Legacy's End, addressed a rare issue that could cause Neva to remain in the elevator longer than intended. Legacy's End, credit cost now appears correctly in dialogue with Lieutenant Toft after completing the quest. Legacy's End, fixed an issue with Boggs dialogue that could allow it to occur before intended. Lost and Found, made it easier for the player to find Dirk during the Speak to Dirk activity. Mantis Shakedown, addressed an exploit that allowed access to more credits than intended. Matters of the Heart, addressed an issue that could occur if progressing missed beyond measure simultaneously. Matters of the Heart, fixed an issue which allowed Neon Security to interrupt Cora's lockpicking scene. Matters of the Heart, fixed an issue that could cause the player to arrive in the middle of the Victor compound. Minor Inconvenience, fixed an issue that could make finding the creatures more difficult than intended. Missed Beyond Measure, addressed a few issues that impacted other overlapping quests. Missed Connections, fixed an inconsistency with progressing the quest in a different order than anticipated. New Driver, fixed an issue where markers would occasionally not appear inside the ship. One Giant Leap, addressed an issue that could appear to prevent grav jumping when artifacts are split between the ship and an outpost. One Giant Leap, fixed an issue where companions still wanted to talk about less relevant information after Revelation is completed. One Giant Leap, addressed an issue that could cause a control lock when attempting to jump to the Unity while in targeting mode. One Small Step, fixed an issue that could cause an odd dialogue camera when Walter speaks. Operation Starseed, fixed an issue where a door would be inaccessible if a crime was committed at Crucible and the player returned much later. Operation Starseed, the door to the restricted wing should now be correctly opened if the player leaves the facility and returns later. Operation Starseed, resolved a rare issue where the door leading to Franklin Roosevelt was inaccessible on Charybdis 3. Operation Starseed, fixed an issue where the player could be unable to talk to Genghis Khan after the Civil War on Charybdis 3. Power from Beyond, fixed an issue that could cause the temple to not to appear where intended. Power from Beyond, it should now be easier to talk to Vladimir. Rank Caller, fixed an issue where the joke ship did not grav jump away after finishing the dialogue. Red Tape Reclamation, addressed an issue that could cause Hank to be away from his desired position. Red Tape Runaround, fixed an issue with the pirate leader unintentionally changing poses in dialogue. Research Outpost addressed an inconsistency that could occur when boarding Dr. Salah's ship. Research Outpost added the ability to transfer items to Dr. Salah from the ship cargo. Party Cruise addressed some inconsistencies that could occur depending docking and boarding interactions. Revelation fixed a rare issue that could cause the quest to not successfully complete. Revelation fixed an issue where a guidance path would not appear in the hand scanner. Revelation resolved an issue where activities would be automatically set to active after completing Unearthed. Revelation fixed a rare issue where the hunter emissary could appear in an unreachable section of the Astral Lounge. Robot Survey Team addressed an issue that could lead to inconsistent robot behavior. Rook Meets King fixed a rare issue that could cause Neva to stall during the tour of the key. Rook Meets King fixed an issue where the player could unintentionally get better gear from Dmitry Moldavsky. Rook Meets King, the captain can no longer be instigated, preventing a few inconsistencies. Rook Meets King addressed an issue that could prevent travel after dealing with the Regana in a specific way. Rook Meets King addressed an issue with accepting the Regana's hail if the system was left and returned to later. Rook Meets King addressed an issue with accepting the Astria's hail if the system was left and returned to later. Rook Meets King fixed a dialogue inconsistency that could occur when loading a save on board the Regana. Sabotage fixed an exploit that allowed the player could avoid arrest after stealing. Sabotage addressed an issue that could occur if the player was arrested after using manipulation on Demarcus at Region HQ. Sabotage resolved an issue that could occur if combat was started before trying to sit on the neurosurgery operating table. Sabotage fixed an issue that could make David Barron difficult to find. Sensible Ship, the collect your new ship objective should now clear if the player destroys the ship first. Supply Missions fixed a rare issue that can list unobtainable items as the target. Supra et Ultra, the quest marker should now point to intended elevator floors. Supra et Ultra addressed a rare issue that could interrupt Tuala from reaching his mark under the stars. Supra et Ultra fixed an issue with power distribution changing while using targeting mode during the simulation. Supra et Ultra fixed a rare issue that could cause John Tuala to not appear at his intended location. Surgical Strike, Ben Armistead should now more quickly head toward Ari Miller. Surgical Strike fixed an issue that allowed players to become trapped under the mine elevator in the Bonnerechlin excavation site. Survey Says fixed an issue that prevented the objective from clearing if the ship was destroyed. The Audition addressed an issue with later passing a door if the area was left while Andrea escorted the player. The Best There Is resolved an issue that allowed fast travel after the Jade Swan docked. The Best There Is fixed an issue that could occur if Jasmine was down during the dialogue with Neva. The Best There Is added the ability to progress the quest if any ship docked at the key. The Devils You Know, the door to the cockpit of the Warlock should now be open if the ship is left and returned to later. The Empty Nest addressed a rare issue where Samco would sometimes not appear at the Ikola spaceport. The Old Neighborhood addressed a rare issue that could cause Sarah Morgan not to speak when traveling to Venus. The Unusual Outpost fixed incorrect quest log text. Unearthed addressed an issue that could cause the door leading to the artifact to remain locked if the area is left. Runaway should now be visible on the Miscellaneous Mission tab when active. War Relics fixed an inconsistency that can occur by trying to find Kaiser before his position is known. War Relics addressed the issue with the quest starting if Demeter was dead. Worlds Apart, the door to the Hephaestus Mine H363 location will now be correctly accessible if the player left the planet and returned later. Fixed various lore issues occurring during the dialogue with Amanda Oxendine. Save and load. Resolved an issue that could cause bonus skins to appear to be removed from stored items after loading a save. Fixed an issue where loading a save prior to repairing Nyakalu's ship could prevent the player from activating the switches. Addressed a rare issue that could cause locations to be positioned incorrectly after loading a save. Fixed a rare issue that could cause the player to appear to be in a falling state, unable to interact with characters or rotate the camera as intended. Fixed an issue that could cause a crash or create a corrupted save file when attempting to sync with zero local storage available, Steam. Fixed an issue that caused the flashlight to stay on when reloading a save with no helmet equipped. Resolved an issue that could cause characters to try to pass through ships after loading a save. Resolved an issue where loading a save could cause characters to shift in the furniture they were using. Fixed an issue where scars and tattoos could appear removed when loading a save made in the Unity. Various fixes for issues when loading saves. Ships. Fixed a rare issue where New Atlantis would appear to follow the player ship. Fixed a rare issue where the player could end up in a bad state of task swapping while fast traveling in space, PC. Fixed an issue that could cause furniture to be doubled. Fixed floating items found aboard some ships. Fixed an issue that could result in missing items in ship after a module modification. Addressed clutter items blocking pathways and ladders in ships. Text and localization. Special descriptors in weapon names now appear properly when playing in localized languages. Updated ship persuasion minigame text for localized languages. Fixed various typos and translation errors. Fixed various text display issues. UI. Added ability to invert the X-axis on a controller in the settings menu. Holding RB or Alt on the star map will now show the names of all star systems. Fixed an issue that could rarely cause the wrong ship to appear on a landing pad after editing ships. When using a keyboard, the player can now control their ship's power allocation when pressing the left Alt key and keys 2, 4, 6, and 8 on the number pad, PC. Addressed some inconsistencies with character creation sliders where sometimes switching back and forth would not produce expected results. Fixed an issue where body, face apparel would not be hidden when visiting Enhance. Fixed an issue where the player's skin tone could appear to change when rapidly scrolling through apparel. Fixed an issue where pressing certain buttons at the same time could cause the mission objective to remain on screen while the scanner is closed. Fixed an issue where the calibration image could disappear while adjusting brightness and display settings. Resolved an issue that caused the incoming hail prompt to disappear when photo mode was entered. Fixed enable VRS setting not resetting correctly when all display settings were reset to default. Fixed an issue that could prevent landing after binding activate to X while using a controller, PC. Fixed an issue that could cause the player to flicker when equipping apparel in the inventory menu. Fixed special characters from not appearing in precognition responses in English. Fixed an issue where pressing certain buttons while using a controller could prevent using the ship builder, PC. Fuel and distance should now calculate as intended for long grav jumps. Particle beam weapon kills should now increment laser kills and combat stats. Fixed an issue where the compass would not properly indicate the player is in combat. Ship builder upgrade mode now highlights both positive and negative stat changes. Fixed an issue with the item card sometimes not appearing after inspecting an item. Fixed an issue that caused tracked resources to not appear correctly on unvisited planets in the same solar system. Fixed text display issues with various scopes. Fixed an issue that could make the player character disappear when show character was switched to on in photo mode. Adjusted the name of the London landmark on the planet map. Fixed various icon inconsistencies on the planet map for landmark locations. Various fixes for large menu fonts.